The coffee mug slipped from my hand, shattering on the white-tiled kitchen floor. The shards glinted in the morning sunlight, as if mocking me. I didn't bend to pick them up, didn't gasp at my clumsiness. I just stood frozen, eyes glued to my phone screen. The photos sliced through my heart like a knife. Claire, my cousin, beaming with joy, surrounded by a full crowd of guests. Over 30 people, including Grandma with her silver cane, Uncle from Texas, even my mom's old friend. But conspicuously absent, me. I'm Savannah Miller, 30 years old, a freelance graphic designer living in Denver, Colorado. It sounds glamorous, but most days I'm holed up in my tiny apartment, tapping away at my keyboard, designing logos for clients, and trying to prove my creative career is as valid as any other job. Claire, my cousin, is different. She works at a big bank, climbing to a managerial role before 30. To the family, Claire is the golden child, accomplished, poised, about to marry a successful man. Meanwhile, I'm Savannah, the dreamy artist with a useless drawing job at family gatherings. But I never imagined this, a major family event where everyone was present except me. I still remember not long ago, carefully crafting a handwritten card for Claire, pressing lavender petals from my balcony garden into it. I even offered to design her entire wedding branding for free, invitations, menus, place cards. It was my heartfelt gift as her cousin. Claire responded with sweet thanks, saying she'd consider it. Yet here I was, staring at photos brimming with flowers, smiles, and lights, completely excluded. The pain hit like a cold gust through a cracked window. It wasn't just being forgotten. It was being deliberately erased from the family picture, and it left me breathless. I immediately called my mom. The phone rang 4 times before her calm, familiar voice answered. "Savannah, what's up, honey?" I tried to keep my voice steady. "Mom, Claire had her bridal shower yesterday, right? I saw the photos online. Everyone was there, why wasn't I invited?" A long pause, then a faint sigh. "Honey, it's just, we thought it was better if you didn't come." I was stunned. "Why?" She hesitated, then said words that would haunt me. "Because you'd ruin her day." I dropped the phone as if it burned. Her words echoed in my head. You'd ruin her day. Since when had I become the family's troublemaker? Trembling, I called Aunt Linda, Claire's mom, who never missed a chance to praise her daughter. When her voice came through, I didn't mince words. "Aunt Linda, why wasn't I invited?" A cold, mocking laugh chilled me. "I was wondering when you'd call, Savannah. We discussed it. You shouldn't be there. Claire deserves a perfect day without complications." Complications. They called me a complication. I gripped the chair so tightly my nails dug into my skin. Memories flooded back. Times I tried sharing my work on a national brand project, only to be ignored. Times I saved for 7 years to buy this apartment, only to get a shrug. Claire's buying a bigger house. Now it was clear they never wanted me there. I sank into a chair, my mind blank. Outside, Denver's sky was clear blue, sunlight glinting off glass buildings. People went about their lives laughing while my world collapsed. In that moment, I felt erased from my own bloodline, as if the entire family had agreed to cross my name off the list, deliberately, coldly, cruelly. I wanted to scream, to demand why, what did I do wrong? But no one was there to hear. See, if you've ever been rejected by your own family, you know how heavy that feeling is. When the love that's supposed to be your safe haven becomes your deepest wound. I'm sharing this not to complain, but to say, sometimes betrayal comes from the least expected places. And if you're listening to my story, maybe you've felt this too. That moment when you realize the home you thought was yours isn't. Stay with me. I'll tell you what happened after I was cut out of my family, and how I found the strength to rewrite my own story. If you've ever felt abandoned, misjudged, or betrayed by family, share your thoughts. Our stories may differ, but the pain and longing to be understood are the same. Leave a comment below to connect with me. My phone buzzed at 11 p.m., just as I tried forcing myself to sleep after a day drowned in thoughts. A text appeared in the dim green glow of a group chat I'd never been added to. "Remember to bring flowers for Claire's wedding. Good thing we didn't invite Savannah, less drama." I froze in bed. My heart pounded so hard I could hear it. The message, clearly sent by mistake, listed the group members below: Aunt Linda, my mom, and Claire. My hands shook as I screenshot it. I read it over and over, eyes stinging, wondering. They called me drama? Since when was I a burden, a joke to avoid? I didn't sleep that night. I tossed from side to side, one thought looping. I have to get answers. The next morning, I drove to my parents' house in suburban Denver. The white wooden house with its neat picket fence once felt safe, but as I parked, it seemed cold, foreign. Mom was watering plants in the front yard. She flinched when she saw me, then forced a smile. You didn't call ahead. I didn't waste words, pulling out my phone to show the screenshot. Mom, explain this. She froze. Her face betrayed a flicker of panic before she masked it with her usual tone. Honey, it's nothing. Nothing? I clenched my jaw. The whole family's in a group chat saying, good thing we didn't invite Savannah, less drama, and it's nothing? She set the watering can down, eyes darting away. Come on, Savannah. You know how it is. You're a bit too sensitive. For big events, sometimes, you don't fit. I stood speechless. Sensitive sounded like a verdict. What does that mean? All my life, when I tried sharing my work, my achievements, everyone changed the subject. Now you've decided to cut me out entirely because I'd caused trouble? Mom sighed, sitting on the porch steps. Honey, you tend to make things bigger than they are. We just wanted Claire's day to be peaceful. I stared at her, seeing how much she'd aged, but her eyes held a terrifying indifference. So, all these years, I've just been a shadow you pushed away? She didn't answer. Her silence was a confession. I kept that screenshot. But within days, rumors spread through the family. Savannah declined the invitation herself. She's jealous of Claire and didn't want to come. I heard whispers at gatherings from my mom's friend. Such a shame, your daughter's always been too sensitive. The breaking point came when a major client, Barton Media, called me, voice cold. We've heard you're difficult to work with. We might need someone else for the spring project. I gripped the phone, pressing for specifics, but got vague answers. I knew why. Barton's marketing director played tennis with my uncle. The rumors had spread beyond family into my career. Days later, another client, Westerly Home Goods, backed out, citing cultural fit. In 2 weeks, I lost over $20,000 in contracts. I sat alone in my apartment, the dim yellow light falling on my cluttered desk of unfinished sketches. My heart felt crushed. I'd lost not just my family but my livelihood, all because of whispers, the troublemaker label they'd pinned on me. That night, I called Mom again. My voice was hoarse. Mom, do you understand? I lost clients because of rumors from our family. Why didn't you tell them the truth? Silence on the other end. Then she said words I'd never forget. Savannah, if you hadn't reacted so strongly from the start, things wouldn't have gotten this bad. I clutched the phone, knuckles white. So it was my fault? They excluded me, spread lies, then blamed me for reacting. I hung up, tossing the phone onto the couch. Tears fell before I could stop them. In that moment, I realized I wasn't just excluded. I was trapped in a web of lies they'd spun to protect Claire's perfect image, their perfect family. But deep inside, a spark flickered. There had to be a way out of this suffocating shadow. I'm sharing this so you can feel the pain I endured. Maybe you've been in a similar place, labeled wrongly, believed to be someone you're not. So what did I do after losing my family and my work? Where did I find light in that darkness? If you find my story compelling enough to follow, comment Y. If not, comment N. Your feedback will tell me if this journey resonates with anyone else. Rain pattered on the window, streaking the glass with trails of streetlight. I sat on the living room floor, the only light a dim desk lamp. My laptop was open, the blank white screen mocking me with a blinking cursor. You can't write anything. I pressed my hands to my forehead, my mind thick with fog. 3 knocks at the door startled me. Before I could react, a familiar voice called, "Savannah, open up, it's Isla." I shuffled to the door. Isla stood there, her dark brown hair wet from the rain, holding a paper bag of food and a bottle of red wine. Seeing me, she sighed, "My God, you look like a ghost." I forced a smile. Isla stepped in, set the bag on the table, and hugged me tightly. That simple embrace shattered the tough shell I'd held for days. I cried like a child. They called me drama, Isla, I choked out. Even my mom believes it. All my life, I never wanted to steal anyone's spotlight. I just wanted to be seen, as part of the family. Isla sat across from me, pouring wine. Her voice was calm but firm. Savannah, do you know what this is? Gaslighting. I blinked, confused. She continued. They create a false narrative, repeat it until even you believe you're the problem. Gaslighting makes you doubt your memories, your emotions, your worth. They've labeled you the troublemaker to cover their unfair treatment. I sat stunned. Each word cut through the fog, exposing a truth I hadn't dared name. Growing up, I'd heard, "You're too sensitive. You're making it a big deal." All those times I stayed quiet for family peace, I'd only fed a false story about myself. Isla took my hand, her eyes steady. "You're not crazy or difficult like they say. They're distorting your image." I nodded, but my heart still felt heavy. I knew she was right, but how could I escape a web woven by my own family? 3 days later, with rain still blanketing Denver, I found a small envelope in my mailbox. The shaky handwriting was unmistakable. Elizabeth Miller, my grandma. I sat, slowly opening it. Cream-colored stationery, a faint lavender scent. My heart raced as I read. "My dearest Savannah, I know you weren't invited to Claire's bridal shower. I heard everything, saw everything, but I stayed silent because I was afraid. Afraid of Linda's anger, afraid of fracturing the family further. But today, seeing you hurt, I realize silence is a form of betrayal. I'm sorry for not standing up for you. Savannah, you live authentically. I believe in you, and I hope you believe in yourself." Tears blurred the purple ink. All this time I thought my whole family had turned away, but one heart had quietly watched. That letter was a candle lighting the darkness within me. I clutched the paper, taking a deep breath. For the first time in weeks, I didn't feel entirely alone. That night, I sat by the window, rain tapping the glass. A bold idea formed. If my family didn't want me at their celebration, I'd create my own. Not for revenge, not to prove a point, but to declare I didn't need their invitation to be happy. I opened my laptop, hands trembling, and typed, "Celebration of Authenticity, Savannah Miller's Day." I didn't know what it would be or who would come, but the idea ignited a small flame in my heart. I remembered Grandma's words, "You live authentically." This celebration would prove it. A day for truth. For those who saw me as I am, not through my family's distorted lens. Isla came by the next morning as I sketched ideas in my notebook. Seeing the messy papers, she laughed. "What's this? Looks like you're designing a new brand." I looked up, my eyes brighter than I expected. "Exactly. A brand called Me." Isla raised an eyebrow, then nodded. "Finally you get it. No one can erase you from your own story unless you let them." We laughed, a light relief after days of gloom. That night before bed, I placed Grandma's letter on the table next to my laptop. I promised myself I'd make her belief in me real. I didn't know how stormy the road ahead would be, but I knew that even in the thick darkness, small cracks had appeared and light was seeping through. If you want to hear more stories like mine and relate to my struggles, check out my previous videos on this channel. I never thought I'd wear a white dress for a ceremony that wasn't a wedding. But that afternoon, standing before a mirror in a villa by Lake Tahoe, golden sunlight streaming through the glass, I knew I'd chosen right. Not because of the dress, but because I'd finally written a new chapter for my life, a day where no one could erase me from the guest list. The villa, rented by my boyfriend Matteo from an Italian architect, had high wooden ceilings and wide glass doors overlooking the shimmering lake. Only 20 close friends, who'd seen me at my lowest and helped me rise. No crystal chandeliers, no forced violins, just wildflowers picked roadside, candles I'd made myself, and the gentle strum of a friend's guitar. The atmosphere was warm, real, safe. It was the opposite of what I imagined Claire's wedding to be, calculated for show. Here I could breathe, laugh, be myself. Matteo held my hand, whispering, "See, light always finds a way, even when darkness seems to win." I smiled, my hand trembling but my heart calmer than ever. Midway through, as laughter filled the air, a figure appeared at the door. Everyone turned. I froze. It was Claire. She wore a simple beige dress, her blonde hair neatly pinned, eyes hesitant. No heavy makeup, no pride like in her photos. Just Claire, The cousin who climbed mountains with me as kids, who lay on the roof stargazing and whispering dreams. The room fell silent. I heard my heartbeat. Claire stepped toward me, her lips trembling. Savannah, I'm sorry. I blinked, thinking I misheard. Sorry? I echoed, voice hoarse. I didn't want you excluded. I cried, fought with Mom, but she was so stubborn. I was afraid to defy her, afraid it'd all fall apart. I was a coward. Tears rolled down her face. But seeing you today, I know I was wrong. I stood still, 1,000 memories flooding back. My anger melted at her confession. I hugged her, both of us crying. Soft applause rose from friends, but to me the world was just us two. In that embrace, I realized not everyone in my family was against me. Love, though suppressed, still existed in Claire. And what I needed wasn't an invitation, it was this truth. The ceremony ended with candles floated on the lake, drifting like small wishes. Sitting with Mateo, my heart felt light, unscarred. But I didn't expect those simple images posted by Ela on the popular wedding blog Modern Love to spark a wildfire. The post, titled "A Small Ceremony, a Big Love," went viral. People raved about the elegance of the details: rough wooden tables, hand-embroidered linens, wildflower crowns. They called it a new breath for American ceremonies, embracing authenticity over empty extravagance. My phone buzzed nonstop. Emails flooded with collaboration offers. From a family outcast, I became a sought-after name in the industry. I laughed through tears. Was this fate's justice? But soon another storm hit. Aunt Linda. Furious, she called my mom in the middle of the night, and new rumors spread. Savannah held her event to steal Claire's spotlight. I read venomous comments online. Classic marketing stunt, playing victim to get famous. They hurt as much as the bridal shower exclusion. Mateo squeezed my shoulder. You don't need to prove anything. Those who see the real you will understand. But I knew the storm would rage on. Linda would never let me be free without dragging me back into the drama. A new email pinged into my small Denver studio. I'd barely sipped my coffee when the subject line flashed. Proposal from Modern Bride magazine. My heart raced. Modern Bride, America's top wedding magazine. For years, I'd flipped through its pages, dreaming of being featured. Now, they'd reached out. I read each word. We want to feature a comparison piece. The minimalist villa versus the grand hotel. One is the 20-guest Tahoe ceremony, the other a 200-guest wedding at a luxury Chicago hotel. We believe readers will love this contrast. Please respond soon. My fingers froze on the keyboard. I knew instantly. The minimalist villa was my ceremony. The grand hotel was Claire's wedding. For a moment, dazzling fame flashed before me. This article could skyrocket my name beyond any contract. It could unlock countless career doors. But I also pictured Claire, her eyes in the villa, admitting she was coerced, crying as she apologized. If I agreed, the nation would see her wedding pitted against mine. Claire would be framed as the loser on her big day. I sat still, coffee cold. My mind battled ambition versus compassion. That afternoon, Isla stopped by the studio. I showed her the email. She raised an eyebrow. This is a golden opportunity, Savannah, but I get why you're hesitating. I sighed. If I say yes, my career could explode, but Claire would be hurt. If I say no, I might lose my shot. Isla looked into my eyes. How do you want the world to remember you? Someone who succeeded by stepping on others, or someone who chose the harder but kinder path? Her words hit like a hammer, breaking my conflict. That night, I opened my laptop, hands shaking but heart steady, and wrote, "Dear editorial team, thank you for your offer. However, I'd prefer the article focus on my design philosophy and creative journey, not a comparison with another wedding. I don't want my success tied to hurting others. Thank you for understanding." I reread it 3 times before hitting send. As the email window closed, a strange relief washed over me. I'd stepped away from a dangerous fork in the road, choosing the less traveled but right path. 2 days later, my phone buzzed. A text from Claire. I heard about your email. I know you didn't want to take anything from me. I owe you an apology. I stared at the screen, tears falling. That short message released years of pent-up frustration. I replied, "We're cousins. No one should be compared. I just want you to be happy." That evening, Mom called. Her voice was hesitant, unlike her usual firmness. Savannah, I heard about your decision. I stayed silent, waiting. She sighed. I let Linda control me too long. I know you've been through a lot. I'm sorry. Tears welled up. All my life I'd craved her acknowledgement. Today it came, late but real. I didn't hold a grudge, saying softly, I just wanted you to stand by me once. On the other end, she choked up. Maybe this time I will. I'm sharing this not to boast nobility, but to show. Sometimes true strength isn't seizing every opportunity, but letting go of those that hurt others. I chose to avoid comparison. And, paradoxically, that choice earned me the respect I'd longed for. Family members who gossiped fell silent. Some sent hesitant messages. Savannah, you're not what we thought. But while some doors opened, I knew others were closing. Linda wouldn't sit quietly. She'd twist my kindness into another weapon. A knock came on a sweltering Denver summer morning. I was in my studio, surrounded by unfinished sketches, when I glanced out the window. A gray SUV parked outside. Two figures stepped out. Linda, sharp-eyed, confident as ever, and my mom, tense but trying to stay calm. My heart sank. I knew this moment was coming. They sat on my sofa while I stood, keeping distance. Linda spoke first, voice firm. Savannah, we know you're planning another event. If you cancel, we'll let you attend Claire's wedding. I laughed, a bitter sound. Aunt Linda, I don't need to beg for a place in someone else's story. I have my own. The room fell silent. Mom's lips tightened, hands twisting. I knew she didn't fully agree with Linda, but wasn't ready to side with me. Linda cleared her throat, softening her tone. Think of the family's image. Two events at once, the press will exploit it. People will have to choose. I looked into her eyes. I'm not competing. I'm celebrating to claim my right to happiness. If anyone has to choose, that's their decision, not mine. Linda flushed, about to speak, but Mom touched her arm, stopping her. Then she turned to me, voice trembling. Savannah, I have to confess. All these years I wasn't silent because I didn't see your pain, but because I was afraid. Afraid to defy Linda. Afraid to disrupt family peace. Tears welled up. I clenched my fist to stay calm. I don't blame you. I just wanted you to protect me, not your silence. Mom bowed her head, shoulders shaking. For the first time in years, she truly saw me. A week later, my ceremony happened. No need for hundreds of guests, just a few dozen who made me feel I belonged. The candles, wildflower wreaths, small details I crafted, created a simple, warm picture. Then something unexpected happened. Wedding magazines and brands took notice. They called it authentic disruption, a new breath for American weddings. Collaboration calls poured in. My tiny studio became a destination for high-profile clients. I sat in my apartment, inbox overflowing, heart still reeling. From an outcast erased from my family, I'd become an industry name. But what moved me most wasn't the contracts. It was Claire's text. You showed me happiness doesn't need extravagance to last. I know you never wanted the spotlight. I owe you more than an apology. I read it repeatedly, tears falling, not from pain but relief. Days later, Mom visited alone. No Linda. She sat in my kitchen holding a steaming tea, eyes tired but determined. Savannah, I know I left you alone too long. My silence was a betrayal. I'm sorry. I reached out, touching her hand. I don't need you to fix the past. I just want you to stand up when something's wrong. She nodded, tears falling. For the first time, I saw her step out of Linda's shadow. That afternoon, Mateo and I stood on the villa's balcony, sunset painting the sky red. He wrapped his arm around me, whispering, See? You didn't need their validation to shine. You wrote your own story. I leaned into him, smiling. In that moment, I realized forgiveness doesn't always mend everything. It frees you from bitterness, letting your heart breathe. My phone buzzed. Claire's text. You taught me happiness doesn't need extravagance to endure. I looked at Mateo, then the sinking sun. A new chapter had begun, not one of darkness, but of light, forgiveness, and freedom. You might wonder, after all this, do I still want to hold on to that family or let go completely? I ask myself that daily. But one thing's certain, I'm no longer erased from any picture. I'm the one holding the brush, painting my life. Maybe my story shows you. None of us are born to be shadows in someone else's life. We all deserve a place, a voice, a happiness of our own. I was excluded, hurt by misunderstanding, but I learned my worth isn't in others' approval. It's in living true to myself. Forgiveness doesn't erase wounds, it lets you move forward without the past binding you. Liberation isn't defeating others, but overcoming your own bitterness. When you forgive and write your own story, you'll find strength like never before. If this story touched you, leave a comment below. Write why if you feel a connection, or share your thoughts so I know we're connecting. Don't forget to subscribe and follow my channel for more human stories.